Hey guys, how you doing? This is Record Time with Doc Vinyl again. I'd like to go over some different things this time. Today we're going to talk a little bit about storage, on how you store your vinyl and, kind of safe ways of handling it and that kind of things. I mean, the basics. Most people know how to do this, but I thought I'd go over a couple things. And then one of the feature artists I'm going to do today, I'm going to talk a little bit about Robert Palmer's career, which is kind of cool. And I have some vinyl here. I'm not going to do a complete discography on Robert Palmer. I'll save that for the future. Hopefully some good comments will be about Palmer. I'm going to definitely talk about some of his early stuff and some cool stuff he did, and talk a little bit about the evolution of the band. But before we get into that, let's talk a little bit about how to store and take care of vinyl. One of the things that's interesting is that vinyl came shrink wrap in the day, and people just would, there was all kinds of theories that if you kept the shrink wrap on the vinyl, on the album cover, the older, it would warp the album, or it wouldn't, or you kept it to protect it. There's all different things. Well, I don't keep the shrink wrap on. I'm not one of these, persons that wants to keep everything original and what have you. It's not, like the toy in the box and you never touch it and everything. I play my vinyl, and I handle my vinyl extensively. I look at it, I play it, I like to look at the album, and other people look at it. So it's not that collectible in the case, don't touch kind of thing. So one of the things I use is these vinyl sleeves. They're protective outer sleeves right here from Vinyl Style. Excellent. High quality, good price, $20 for like 100 of them. They're like comic book bags kind of thing. And what they do is they protect the vinyl. And the album, as you can see, this is Robert Palmer's album, Sneaking Sally Through the Alley. Awesome album. It's a sleeve here, see, and you can, you pull the album out, and this protects it. Great stuff. It's a good way of doing it. This is the raw album, so you can keep it in there, and it's open on the top. You can take it out as you can. Now that's the protection of the jacket. They technically call this the jacket. This is the jacket that holds the recorded piece of music. Now the album itself, which I have on the turntable right here, that is usually stored in. I use personally the Mobile Fidelity Hi-Fi sleeves, and these are sleeves that are designed to protect and preserve vinyl. Okay, and these sleeves are really good, and they're really easy to use, and I like them a lot because they're a little higher quality, but and the company's called Mobile Fidelity, original, the master sleeves they're called, and these are good. You could use paper sleeves if you have less quality albums that are more scratched or beat up, and I use some of those for some of the albums that not as worthy, I guess you could say, or whatever, or less perfect condition. But I use master sleeves for just about most of my collection. I only use the paper sleeves for some of the older beat up stuff and some of the things I don't listen to that much. Now, those are great. Those are great items to have. I'd like to do a quick shout out for Max J Records, my friend here down in Fairhaven. He's going to be offering a discount, since I'm covering it right now, on any of the vinyl storage items. And the Vinyl Style or the Mobile Fidelity sleeves or the paper sleeves, he gives 10% off if you mention this video. No big deal, so just throw it out there, and pretty cool. But I think it's important that you take care of your vinyl. As you can see, my vinyl's over here. I'll show you real quickly, a quick show. And that's my collection of vinyl right there. It's stored that way. It always should be upright, as you can see. Pretty good. Again, it works pretty well. I like that the style. It's kind of library-like. Again, it's alphanumerical. You put it any way you want. Just throw them in there. I don't care. It doesn't really matter. But I do it alphabetical. It's easier for me to organize. But all the music's right there, and it's very easy and accessible. All right. So I just thought I'd start with that, and then one of the other episodes I'll cover is how to clean and take care of the actual vinyl, which it doesn't require that much work really. A little bit more than normal music, definitely more than downloaded music, of course, and more than CDs. But I mean, they do need to be cleaned from time to time, and they do have to be handled a certain way. One of the ways to handle albums I'll show you is right here. As I show you in the last video when I pulled one, when I loaded it. This is his Sneaking Sally Through the Alley. So you should always hold it on the ends. You should try not to put your fingers on it. I mean, it's not going to kill it, but the oils from your hands can, cause problems with playback through the needle. But it's best to hold it on the side. I'm sure most people do it. Or hold it like this, one thumb and the index finger, like so. And then you can slip them into the sleeves. Here's the sleeve that I have right here. And, again, you just slip it in the sleeve like this, and down it goes, and there you go. Pretty simple. All right. Not rocket science, obviously, but it's just good little extra care needs to be taken with vinyl. But it'll last forever if you take care of it, like anything else. So it does pretty well. All right. So Hopefully I'll have some comments. You guys have any questions or anything, just shoot them out on the on YouTube. Let me know, or shoot them out on Facebook or on Max J Records website, whatever. If you have questions, I'll try to get back to you, let you know, whatever. Not a problem. All right, so let's get into our musicians for this week. I'm going to be doing Robert Palmer. Now, again, as I said before, this isn't not a full discography of his music. I'm going to start with a couple of his albums and talk a little bit about his career. Rock and roll soul singer, born in the late 40s, cool guy, really cool guy, excellent soulful voice, jazzy, kind of funky kind of sound. He really made a break in the early 70s. His first album was in 1974. It was called Sneaking Sally Through the Alley. Really cool album. Produced and recorded with the band Little Feat, which of course was a very funky, really cool sound. And this really put Robert Palmer on the map. Now, this wasn't his first gig. He'd been in a band called Vinegar Joe before, and he'd put out a couple albums, 71, 72, but this came out in 74, and this was really his big breakthrough album. There's a trilogy of songs on here that I just absolutely love to this day. It just has the beat, the rhythm. I mean, it's like boom, boom, boom. Oh, it's just really, really good. I highly recommend you check this one out. And the songs are, here's a trilogy. It's called Sailing Shoes, Hey Julia, and Sneaking Sally Through the Alley. They're like, hey Julia, looking quite peculiar, like the hand. I mean, really cool stuff. Sneaking Sally Through the Alley, which I'm sure many of you have heard. These were their big songs, and that was called the trilogy. And the radio did play them, usually in order. Lots of times they play them all because they segue into each other. So it's 3 different songs, but they're actually all played together. There's no break in between. That's the beauty of vinyl. Quite a couple of hidden tracks on here. Blackmail's really good. Get Outside, really good. Very hard-hitting horns in this from Little Feat, of course. And then side 2 has How Much Fun, which of course is very much of a open, funky song. Good stuff. From a Whisper to a Scream is really good. It's kind of showcases Robert Palmer's soulful and range in his voice. He has a very interesting voice, a very unique voice. And Through It All, There's You. Very good. Very solid effort. Put out by Island Records originally in UK, and I believe was put Island here. The one I have is a UK first pressing. It's not like I have to, but it is technically a better recording. I'll explain the first pressing thing and all that other differences in another show, but generally speaking, just to give you a quick heads up now, a first pressing on an album meaning that it is closer to the original master recording. So this particular recording is on Island Records. That means that this was pressed at the time of the recording. The recording was 1974, master recording, and went to vinyl right away. So you really have one step from master recording, from the musician to master record tapes to vinyl. Later on, what they would do is they would use a good copy of vinyl and press vinyl from vinyl. So it's a recording of a recording. Good quality, just not the same, and there would be some degradation. So the original master recordings are really what you want to do, and a lot of people will pay a premium for them too. Lots of times when they re-edit stuff and remaster it, they usually pull it from the recordings. Lots of the 180 gram and 200 gram vinyl, they'll be doing that. They do that with. So again, that'll be for another show. I want to put that aside for now and talk more about Robert Palmer. So after this album broke, Sneaking Sally Through the Alley, kick-ass album. People were like, cool stuff. They wanted to hear more from him. He had done his second album, which I don't have here, but his second album, well, actually, I do have a second album. His second album was Pressure Drop, I'm sorry. And this came out in 1975. And this was a follow-up year. This was another really, really good album. This had the same kind of style of that Little Feat sound to it. This had a couple of good hits on it. Nothing a lot. I mean, it had Trouble on it, which was really good. It had Give Me an Inch. Work to Make It All Work. Back of My Arms. Really good. Riverboat was okay. Wasn't one of the better songs on the album. It was a cover. Which of Us is a Fool. Very good stuff. And this is when he started to get his band together. Of course, you know, the Naked Ladies on the cover, of course, helped sell it. Of course, this was very controversial in 1975. But Robert Palmer had that very sexuality to his singing. Really cool, soulful stuff. Kind of, in some ways, an alternative to a more soulful version of Rod Stewart of this time period. Cool stuff, though. Very cool. Very good album. This one was not as popular as his first album. So it left a little bit of a issue with White Island Records, and that moved on to the next one, which was Some People Can Do What They Feel and what they like. I'm sorry, Some People Can Do What They Like. That album did okay. Didn't have a lot of hits on it. It was again kind of a divergence or a change from that old Little Feat beginnings and that soulful sound. He started going to something different. And then that came out in '76, and in 1978 he came out with an album with a couple hits on it. And that album was called Double Fun. Okay, and as you can see, girl's bathing suit. Again, you can see a theme going here with Robert Palmer and women on his cover. And of course, it kind of reflected his lifestyle. Double Fun was really good. This had quite a few good hits on it. This had Come Over, and this had the big hit by Mr. Rainey called Every Kind of People. Every Kind of People. Very good song. Very big. Night People was on this. You Really Got Me with another cover. Very good. This was a very well-received album. Good stuff. And again, Robert Palmer's Double Fun was really one of the another album that kind of solidified his voice and his sound. Now, as we go through the late 70s into his career, Secrets comes out in 79. That wasn't as well received. It didn't have the same tracks that the other songs that it had on it. And then Clues came out. But then in 1983, one of his big albums I have here was Pride. Pride was a really good album. Of course, we took a little divergence from his female-oriented covers. And Pride was really good. Pride had some of a different sound to it, a different band completely. I'm going for more of a more polished sound. Really good stuff. And as we look at Pride right here, we have a completely different band members on this. We have Don Wynn on drums. We have Frank Blair on bass. Robert Palmer. We have a couple keyboard players. Guitars changing. No horns on this one particularly. But for the songs, we have Pride. Deadline was really good. Deadline had a really solid guitar solo in it. You Are My System is really good. It's Not Difficult to Say You Will on side 2. You Can Have It, Take It My Heart. Very good. Again, this album was really starting to establish Robert Palmer as a soul, rock and roll kind of funk singer. Very popular. Now, it leads to one of his bigger albums later on. In between, after Pride came out, his next album that comes out is really 1985. It's one of his bigger albums, one of his biggest albums, and it's called Riptide. This album right here, very good album. This has quite a big songs on it. Addicted to Love is on this one. Of course, that was a really big MTV hit. Quite a few on this. Riptide's on this. Hyperactive is on this. Trick Bag was on this. A lot of good songs. And this really established a really slick, good understanding of writing good pop songs with a good hitch to it, but with a really good undercurrent beat. Not poppy, sappy songs, but really punching, kicking songs. They're really good. They're funk-based, very good, and his soul voice was awesome. I mean, Palmer still had that voice up to his death. Really, really great sounding voice. And then after Riptide came Heavy Nova and Don't Explain, a couple other albums through the late 80s into early 90s before his death, and good stuff. Now, Palmer is really one of the guys that I always like. He's one of those guys that you don't think of a lot, and I'm kind of glad I showcased him from the beginning of my show because he's not someone you think of. You think of Led Zeppelin, you think of all the big mega bands of the 80s, Billy Joel, even the singer ones, Bruce Springsteen and stuff. And they're all very good, of course, but Palmer's one of those guys that snuck in there. Very good sound, very unique. When you heard his voice, you knew right away it was Robert Palmer. You didn't mistake it for anyone else. So really good. And I still, my favorite album still is probably his first album. It was really solid. But like I said, he was in other bands. He started with a band called Vinegar Joe, which was kind of a soulful, funky thing, kind of finding their feet. But once he started getting his solo career together, it was really, really good stuff. And then we had, he did another band called Power Station with some of the members of Duran Duran. Interesting, they had some really cool stuff, Some Like It Hot and other stuff. And Robert Palmer really was a showcase voice in that. But yeah, highly recommend it. Again, look for this one. Dick and Sally Through the Alley. The Robert Palmer stuff is really great. And again, Max J Records, if you wanted to get any of the Robert Palmer collection that he has there, he will offer 10% on it. It's the featured artist for the week. And I hope you guys liked it. And again, on next show, I'll be covering Foreigner and Journey. Much different type of music, but I was going to do that in this show, but I just wanted to kind of, act things out a little bit better, get things a little bit more organized. So I hope you liked it. Please give us a like, check out the comments on it, and let me know what you think about Robert Palmer. And I hope to see you guys next week. Take it easy.